Welcome back to Dave Does Outdoors. Normally with Audrey, I'm not sure if you'll see Audrey today. We're just back with a nice walk. Check out my other video, I don't know what I'll call it, but got the hammock up, cooked the absolutely perfect burger. Today though, we're revisiting my new axe. Because you're not spending much, this is the Hultafors chopping axe. It's about 50 centimeters long, so it's quite long, but you can still. But anyway, I've done some reviews, check it out. But because you're spending about £40, I mean it's hand forged, but so you don't get a sheath. And to buy a leather sheath, you're looking at, well, obviously you can make it yourself, but it's quite tricky. There's some good YouTube videos on making your own leather, but because I didn't have any decent leather, I've just made a really simple string one. Well, wooden. Let's see. Put it over like that. Wood and a little bit of my paracord. This paracord is the cord that's got the sewing line, fishing line, and the reds are waxed, so you can start your fires, and it's good stuff. So it's handy to have a little bit of kind of emergency. So I had the wood, so it's not cost me anything, and I had the paracord, and that'll fit in the bag. I rounded the corners off a little bit. I think I've got a sander somewhere. I was asking April last night, and she reckons that I've got an old sort of Black & Decker or something, so I'm going to try and dig that out as we proceed today. So what I wanted to do was just perfect this. This is very much my prototype. So what I did yesterday, I did some filming yesterday, but my neighbour had his power washer on, and I thought it'd be okay in the hut, but the background noise is really, really bad. So I'm just gonna sort of cut it all into one. So I cut these bits out yesterday. So again, really simple. Definitely recommend making a wee template out of cardboard, and I used a standard wood saw. Again, I've got a jigsaw, but an old wood saw, and then this kind of board, which is really, really cheap. Cut two bits. The same, and then initially I had this wood, because what I was trying to do was have something just with a little bit more. This covers the cutting edge pretty nicely, and it's really tight, which is fine, but I wanted something that was just going to give it a bit more protection and not quite as tight. So I wanted to widen the wood. So initially I'd cut this piece, creating that, but in actual fact that's going to be too wide. So I guess every axe, depending on the cut. So then I found this last night, again just stuff that I've taken out of a skip. So I cut the piece yesterday, again just using my normal wood saw, and this is a better depth. And what I'm planning to do is, in fact, no, I was going to put a couple of brass screws. This one's held together purely by wood glue. Which is great stuff. And it seems to last for years. But I was going to try and put a couple of nice brass screws in here, and maybe just have one cord hole maybe in the middle. And why I like this thickness, it's going to go back and just shield more of the axe. So that's what we're going to work on today. I'm going to try and find my sander so I can just kind of rub that all together once it's glued. I like a little side shield, which again ends up just being another little bit of the, don't know if it's ply, some sort of cheap plywood. So yeah, thanks again for tuning in, guys. Check out my other videos. Remember to give me a wee thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe if you've not. All your support is much appreciated. We're going to be putting up a decent bit of content every week, 1 or 2 bits. Normally get out for my exercise at the weekends, take the dog, but the minute lockdown's over we're going to be up in the hills. Got a decent tent, I've got my scarp on, I've got a wee Vango tent, and I've got a decent hammock, so I've been getting my hammock out during the day, just putting it up in the woods. It's a DD Frontline with built-in mid-unit, so I need to perfect my tarp setups and things like that, but we're getting there. Just keep taking it all out and keep practicing it. So I'm going to try and find my sander and a couple of, I thought I'd smaller brass screws. Yeah, really nice little cheap but decent, should last, sort of mask sheath. A lot of people call them different things, for your axe. I'm just going to like just to countersink any screws, and these are quite small. I didn't, the brass ones were going to be too big, so I've just found 4 smaller silver ones, and if I put 2 in each side, that'll really, I found an old sander, one of my old friend Steve's, when he was tidying his mum and dad's house out, it must have been John's, Steve's dad. Found an old sander, so it's noisy, I'll show you. But I'll show you, I'll be able to utilise that a little bit. So just a wee bit of a countersink, just so the screws, yeah, just to be with hand, that's all it takes, just for that to sink. So I think we're going to just kind of get some wood glue, cover both sides with wood glue, screw them in, because the single strap hole can come later, and then I can use the sander just to take that edge. That's looking quite neat. Just a little, no, it's not too bad actually. I hand sanded it last night. handy having the nozzle, but when the nozzle all dries up, and so this really adds to the grippiness, big style. It's great stuff, this. Again, the sort of scrappy side, you're just kind of trying to put the scrappy sides on the inside. Nice. And then so, and then we're just going to pop a little screw in. Just to tiny screw, I don't really count to drill it. Thinking it's going to be fine, and the glue doesn't set particularly quickly, so you can do it hand sanding is actually just as efficient. Really good. So again, it's going to be wood on the blade, so you don't have any anxiety of it cutting into anything. Sometimes the leather ones have studs and stuff that can cause a the little side bit. I think it will work. What I did was I just got some old twine and then wood glued it. Just put a twist on that, both sides, and that was enough to wood glue, which is a bit like cement. We're getting there. So I've drilled a couple of 3 holes in the bottom in case the axe is sitting out in the rain for any length of time with the sheath on. That'll allow a bit of water to seep at the bottom. It'll all get a bit of an oil, linseed oil. I'm using this boiled linseed oil, which is really good for indoor and outdoor use. So I've gone for a single cord which will go through the centre and have one loop, so it's slightly less kind of cord. So I'm just going to put some wood glue around twist string vise. Let's just put a little bit of tension on the glue. Just throwing one of these out because it's rubbish, but it's handy to see. Have something like that to device it. Get in a second, one at a time. Welcome back. So we are proceeding with our wooden axe mask part 2. This is Audrey, by the way, for any of my new subscribers who've not met Audrey. You might be tuning in. This might be your first Dave Does Outdoors. It's actually Dave Does Outdoors with Audrey. She accompanies me on most of my missions and adventures. Don't you? And she tries to lick me to bits, so I'll pop her down. She's just going to go and a wee muck about in the garden. So I'll talk you through. So I was gluing these little side pieces on, and I've left it overnight, so it's just wood glue. And I just put some simple cordage twists around the side just to pinch that. Feels pretty good. So this is kind of model 2. This is model 1. So this one fits a bit deeper. It's got a bit more protection on the blade. I've put some drainage holes and a single hole here, so the cord is just going to be a single loop around here that you'll just push over, and then I'm not worried about, this is it's forged steel, so realistically it's going to be getting bashed through wood. So having a wooden sheath, it's good. There's nothing in there that's going to damage the cutting. It's quite therapeutic. You're kind of, and it works really well. So you don't need machines to do any of this. I'm going to take this down a little bit. So again, just find a flat surface like that. When it's got that's got a couple of coats of linseed. That's just the ply. This has got a slightly thicker. It's got some drainage holes. So when I'm out felling trees like you do, if rain gets into this, it'll drain through the holes. I'll work out some sort of knot there. It's on quite tight. It could sit there. I'm not sure. I might end up, the 2 holes. So really the purpose of today's video is just to really get something on YouTube. There's not much about wooden sheaths that are really cheap to make and quite simple. It doesn't need to be much more difficult than this. That's bringing out the grain nicely on that. I'll cut this, I'll tidy that up a little bit. Pretty tough that. Let it dry, give it another coat of linseed oil. We're going to finish it that. I've put a little bit of linseed oil, just 1 coat on it. So we've got drainage holes if any water is in the axe like that. I've put a little knot for the back of that, followed by just simple. You can have different sort of setups in terms of your kind of cordage and your knotting, but in principle this hasn't cost me anything. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed that little bit of a kind of DIY wooden axe sheath kind of mask. So looking forward to getting out into the woods and doing a bit of chopping, but that'll be nice and protected in my rucksack. Yeah, chuffed with that. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. Remember, if you've liked the video, give it a wee thumbs up, subscribe if you've not already, and there should be some decent content coming out over the summer, all going well. Up into the hills, we've got a couple of tents and hammocks and stuff, so a few things planned with the dog and me. Just now though, little local run, so check out some of my other videos, guys, and thanks again for all of your support. I hope everyone's taking care out there and keeping strong and keeping positive. You know, we're going to get through this COVID, where the ends, or a sort of semi-end is on the horizon with the vaccine and stuff, so I hope everyone's taking care, and thanks again for everyone's support. Leave a wee comment. You know, I'll be getting a lot of decent little comments from some of my followers, which is brilliant, so thanks again.